Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fathers Without Fathers. So I just had a look back at the stream and realized I've posted two with relatively the same topic. I didn't realize that the first stream was actually successful. I thought it had failed. Oh well, the first one was at night, so you couldn't really see me anyway, so it's all good. The second episode, we'll just sort of dive right into it. It's kind of interesting. Because what I want to talk about today might be a little bit political, and I don't really mean it to be, because I'm not really, that sort of a divisive guy, but we live in strangely polarizing times. But I just want to talk a little bit about sexual politics, if that's all right. But I want to start off by saying that I guess this is a logical place to start, sort of way at the beginning. And I want to talk a little bit about gender. Because, when I was younger, well, I still am, I consider myself a relatively progressive guy. Implicit biases aside, I do know that I still have those, but in general, I try to lead a decent life and be decent to my fellow human beings. So it's kind of interesting because there is this idealism that you can hold when you're in your 20s, have kids and things like that, that you feel strongly about and fiercely defensive of. And I'll tell you a funny little story where I first came up against sort of my progressive values in terms of sexual politics was, I'll just tell you guys the story. So after our first son was born, we were at the hospital for 3 days. I think it was 3 days. Sort of the requisite time to kind of recover from the whole process, and then we brought Connor home. And like I said in earlier episodes, we literally put him in a seat on the settee, and there was this moment of, oh my God, okay, what do we do now? We have another human being who is completely helpless and totally depends on us, sitting on the settee. And I think maybe it was triggered when Connor started crying. And when he started crying, I looked over at Sarah and said, "What do we do?" And she looked at me and said, "I don't know, what do we do?" And I think that was the first moment we both burst out laughing, because that was the moment where I came across my implicit bias. Because I automatically assumed, okay, Sarah's the mother, she gave birth, she must know what to do, without realizing or without remembering that we're both in the same boat. She doesn't magically get some sort of motherly knowledge from the heavens and instantly knows exactly what to do. She's in the same position as me. She's the same person she was before Connor was born. Why would I suddenly assume she knows how to parent better than me? So it was funny, and that was kind of the beginning of understanding that sometimes nature does draw the mother-father line for you. Not saying I acquiesce to that, and I'll get to that, but it does really. I don't think it sort of brings sexual politics to the fore. I think it just redefines it and presents new challenges. I suppose that's the best way to put it, right? Because for me, this idea of equality is incredibly important. I don't want to talk about equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. I know all about that. Just, this idea of treating each other with mutual respect and all this kind of stuff. So, very, very simple. I started off with a very, very simple rule. As Connor started growing up, the housework started to pile up and all that kind of stuff. And on top of the lesson that I learned that, women don't magically sort of arrive at this motherhood kind of central knowledge database that uploads to their brain the minute a kid arrives. It was us working together to try and figure it out. Obviously, I knew that intellectually that it's going to be the both of us trying to figure it out. But I think I still had a lot of implicit bias to sort of work through. So I came up with a definition or a rule that I found quite simple, which helped me, right? So I would never expect my wife to do anything that I would not ask a roommate to do, right? So you'd never ask your roommate to do this or that. You would never ask your roommate to do your laundry for you. You'd never ask your roommate to make your meals for you and all that kind of bullshit. So, you know, as much as possible, we shared out tasks evenly. So, I mean, but there are things that only a mother can do, right? And so a lot of times as a dad, you sort of feel left on the sidelines. And we realized that, you know, my role would factor in a little bit later. But yeah, some interesting observations. So I'll pop back in and we'll carry on talking about the things we learn along the way being dads.